Welcome to Podsauce. I'm Dax Holt.
I'm Alesha Renee.
How is your vacation over in the French Riviera going, Leash? You gotta Skype us from halfway around the world, enjoying the sands and the beaches.
The French Riviera. Voila! It's going good. You know, I can feel the breeze in my hair and I can almost smell that good ocean.
Oh man, you listen to any podcasts while you're traveling the world or anything?
You know, I have one for you.
Okay.
One that
okay.
I think you'll like. But for the most part, you know, I'm just, me. I'm just taking my time to hit reset and get it together so I can keep bringing the thunder for you guys.
As you should.
But I thought I'd grace you with my presence today.
All right, what you got for me? I'm excited.
I have a really good murder most foul.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I'm into it. Anytime you say it like that, I'm ready for it.
You got to set the atmosphere, and then you got to sit in it and just. So this one is called Cults. It's hosted by Greg Polcyn and Vanessa Richardson. This is so good. It covers the 3 M stacks. We've got murder, manipulation, mystery. When we get these podcast recommendations, we'll go through and we'll look for an episode that piques our interest. And the Manson one obviously really piqued mine. The Manson murders have been in the news, the press a lot lately. So maybe that's why I was like, oh, well, let me just check this one out. I think you guys will really enjoy Cults by Greg Polcyn and Vanessa Richardson.
So, Alesha, I don't have like a ton of time because we're trying to listen to so many podcasts hosting this show. Is this a podcast where, the Manson case is covered over like 8 episodes, or what's my time investment? Because that's kind of a big thing for me.
Yeah, no, max 2. Well, no, let me not say max, because there was one cult case that actually spanned 4 episodes. I did not have the opportunity to listen to that one because same. But I think that's why Podsauce is such a great show and such a great resource for people, because who has time to just surf and listen to all the stuff, get into it. But we're giving great recommendations, and Cults is mine for this week's Murder Most Foul.
Ooh. All right. Well, I like it because I like the Manson stuff mostly because it's just so crazy and weird, and I feel like there's so many twists in that story and the relationship to Hollywood and all of it. So I'm down to check it out, especially if it's 2 episodes. I'm down to check it out. And
Nexium I think is 3 episodes. So some of the really, really, really big meatier ones, they span quite a few. But you kind of want to do it justice, right? And they do it justice.
Cool. Well, thank you for the recommendation. And here's the thing, you guys, if you like any of our recommendations, go to our website, podsauce.com, sign up for the newsletter. That is the easiest way for us to package up all of our content, send it directly to you. Alesha herself is writing up these emails one at a time, sending them out to all of the people signed up for the newsletter. So do that so she can send you one, and it's super easy.
So what do you get to do? Do you get to get on your bike and actually hand deliver, since you keep telling people that we're going to hand deliver this newsletter? Who's knock it off? No one's doing that. We're going to hit send like a decent human being.
And it won't even be us. Let's be realistic. We're not going to send this stuff out.
Somebody will hit send. It won't be us. Guys, don't go anywhere. We got more coming. This is Podsauce. Welcome back, guys, to Podsauce, your podcast discovery show. Dax.
Yeah.
It's that time of the day.
It's that time. It's my pick. I got a good one for you.
Better have a good one for me. You ready?
Leash, I have been excited to tell you about this pick for the last week and a half. No joke.
That's fair.
No joke.
You did call me and tell me.
Yeah, we were doing some radio stuff, and I told her, I was like, I want to talk about this podcast so bad, but I'm going to save it so I can do it on the show and get your genuine reaction. So I have it now.
Okay.
This was actually a recommendation from Angie. She gave it to me, and I think it was one of the Odd Pod picks of the week, and I read about it on air, and then I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I want to check it out. So it's called What Was That Like? It's so good. So this is a podcast all about true firsthand experiences of something crazy, all right? So this guy, his name is Scott Johnson. He's the host of this podcast. He invites people on his podcast to talk about different things. Like I listened to an episode about a guy who survived a tsunami and his experience, what it was like being in Thailand in 2004, where he was when the waves came rolling in, and the circumstances that led him to actually getting a hotel room that was high ground. And it was all because he ate the wrong food and he got sick and they didn't plan ahead. And that led to him getting a hotel room high up on the mountain, which ended up saving his life. Okay, so that was one. Another episode was about a man who his plane crashed in the remote wilderness of Victoria, Canada, and how it was a one-man plane. He was flying, he had engine problems, it crashed down, a tree severed the whole bottom of the plane, fuel was pouring out, and how he survived the plane crash. But Leash, the episode you need to listen to, number one, is Dan, who was mauled by a grizzly bear.
Dan, who was mauled by a grizzly bear.
It is the most insane story you could possibly hear. Dan obviously survived this attack by a grizzly bear, but he was out fishing and he happened to walk past a grizzly bear's cubs, and
the real life revenant.
Exactly. And this bear went wild. I mean, there was a part in this podcast where the man was talking about, like, he was literally dead, okay? Because the bear bit his whole face, and he could hear his bones, and everything went black, and all of this stuff. And he's saying that, like, he saw the light, and in that moment he saw his mom's face, and his mom was smiling and waving, and basically, like, that was the moment he decided, I'm not gonna die, and came back. And, it's the most wild podcast. I got so addicted to listening to these different episodes. I think you're going to love it. So it's called What Was That Like?
No, technically that's not for you. Ange, where you at, boo? That is for you. Okay, we're not giving you your things. I'm not going to give you your things.
Oh, man, I thought I got credit. And now
going to Ange.
Fine, Ange, it was a good one. Thank you for putting me onto it so I could put Alesha onto it, because it was such a good podcast. What Was That Like? Check it out anywhere. Go to the Odyssey app. I know we got it up there.
Good. I'll give you this one. You win this week. You can't give the white man too much credit. Yes. You win this week. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Hey, it's the little wins.
A win is a win. As Duval would say, a win is a win. We got more Podsauce coming.
Welcome back to Podsauce. Leash, it's time. We got to get into a little supernatural and true crime.
That's okay. I saged my place again. I already got it ready. I'm here for it all.
You got your crucifix out. You got all your gadgets.
I'm in battle form. I am in battle formation. All right? There is nothing getting past this threshold, honey.
We are very fortunate. We have the hosts of And That's Why We Drink here on Podsauce, which... this is a massive, massive podcast. They've had over 80 million downloads. So Christine and Em, welcome.
No, thank you so much. Look, if you have an issue with the supernatural, I'm at least your go-to. I'm also scared of it, even though I'm the one talking about it all the time. So I just want to, before we get into it, want to let you know now I'm equally terrified.
Yeah, Emma's Jewish and is the first person to start saying the Our Father the second anything scary happens. So don't worry, like, you're in good hands here. We're not like braver than you are.
How are you reporting on this stuff though? Because I listened to an episode recently. It was the mac and cheese Cauldron of Mac and Cheese episode, and it was all about Agnes the witch and how she was like tortured at the stake and all these creepy things. How do you report on that if it freaks you out so much, Em?
Well, someone's got to do it, I guess. I am terrified of it, but I think I find some sort of comfort in, at least it's happening to someone else for the moment. So at least I can pretend it's a scary movie versus really happening in real life. Also, we talk about UFOs and aliens. Those are more Christine's thing that freaks her out. So I think of it a lot of times as, even if I'm being freaked out, it's more fun to like scare my friend. I
don't know how you've volunteered as tribute to talk about like all things like demon and witches and all those other things. 'Cause it's just not my bag. Now, oddly enough, UFOs and such. Here for you,
Ah.
Christine.
Oh, that stuff scares me. I don't know what it is about aliens, but this just next level.
Really? You know they're real,
Yeah.
right?
That's probably why I'm so scared.
Oh, they're 100% real. I feel like, to me at least, usually when we talk about ghosts, I'm the 100% believer and Christine's the skeptic. But when it comes to UFOs, I feel like we're pretty much in agreement that that's totally real. So.
For sure. It's so funny because Dax and I, when they brought to our attention your podcast, which has millions of viewers. So, but there's a reason why I didn't know about it because, again, demons, no thank you. But Dax and I, whenever we get a new podcast brought to our attention, we try to listen to it. So we try to do our Googles and our research.
Sure.
Let me tell y'all, I love y'all. I love the energy. I think it was the Cauldron episode too, but they mentioned something about like a demonic spirit, and I was in my bathroom like getting ready. I was like, that's not the energy I want. So I'm staging my apartment down. I'm like, no, thank you.
That is the one thing. Alesha will not listen to anything supernatural when she's in her own home. She's like, nope, not having it. I want to know. You guys have hit over 80 million downloads on your podcast, which is unbelievable. Congratulations on that. But how did this really come about? How did you guys know that, hey, we want to do a podcast and it was going to really resonate as well as it did?
So we met in grad school. And when I first met Christine, she actually taught me what a podcast was. And we realized we became friends at a harvest festival. Or we knew each other before, but we didn't know each other very well. And I asked her to come with me to a harvest festival to get closer.
It was very romantic.
We were on a tractor ride and we had nothing to do, but we were kind of forced to talk to each other. And since it was Halloween and spooky, I was like, oh, do you believe in ghosts? And, she started talking about true crime, and it ended up turning into her asking if I listened to any true crime podcasts. And I said, what's a podcast? And so, she introduced me to all the ones that she listened to, and very quickly in our friendship, it became like a mainstay that we always talked about where we were in the podcast. And eventually I just said, would you want to start one with me? And, worst case scenario, only our moms listen to it, but at least we'll have like our friendship from the very beginning on record, and we can like hear ourselves from the very beginning turn into best friends. So
yeah, and I want to brag real quick on M because they probably won't mention it, but M was actually a professional paranormal investigator in college, and so meeting M, I know, and so I got like the special scoop, and I was like, we're gonna share this with the world.
I didn't realize that. I did not know that. That is crazy. How do you even get into that, M?
Well, it's a long convoluted story, but basically I ended up working for a museum, and I asked if they were haunted at all, just because it was like the museum itself was like a 300-year-old building. And they said, oh, well, we're not sure, but the people across the street from us do ghost tours. They might have an answer for you. And so after my shift, my boss walked me over and introduced me, and I guess it looked like a reference. But he was handing me over. Like, he was like, I don't want to work with them anymore. You can do this. And so they were answering my questions about ghosts and offered to take me on a ghost tour. And that night they gave me $20 and told me to come back the next day. So I kind of accidentally got a job. And I ended up doing that for almost all 4 years of college as my big college job.
Alesha, that's your calling right there. You could be one too.
Right. I was like, are you a real life like Ghostbuster?
For a minute I was. We started as ghost tours, and then it became more like investigating places. Or I ended up going off on my own from that job and working with different volunteer organizations that would get calls from people saying there's something going on in my house. Do you want to come try to debunk it for us?
Oh, no, that's too far.
Then I started doing my own overnight lockdowns with equipment and stuff like that.
Oh, God, no.
So anyway, when I met Christine, we were brand new friends, and it was a nice selling point to someone who likes creepy stuff that she would get me and a Ghostbuster.
Wait, so when Outside was open, right? Have you guys ever had anyone like in studio with you? Have you ever done Or has the bulk of what you guys been doing been over Zoom? Or I ask that because, this question mainly is for you. Have you ever been in the presence of someone that you felt that there was a demon on their back? You felt that there was like a spirit around them. Have you ever been in that situation?
Christine. No,
yeah,
I'm just
I knew
kidding.
it. I was like, don't throw me under the bus. This is going to be a perfect segue.
There's a reason we do it on Zoom. I can't be near her anymore. So no, I haven't actually. I feel like I've been in places that were clearly dark, but I don't think I've ever walked up to somebody and felt something really dark attached to them. But we have at our own live shows had people who I guess are more sensitive to that stuff come to us and say, oh, by the way, the whole time that you were on stage, there was like a solid black shadow hovering over you. So we might actually be the people.
That was bad. At one show, actually, Em was telling a ghost story, and like one of the lamps above us just like exploded in the middle of the show, and we weren't filming it or like recording it, so we didn't get it on audio. But the whole place started screaming, and then the lighting people were like, "These are brand new light bulbs. Like, we don't know how you broke it, but you broke it." So we just got out of there real quick. But that was pretty odd.
That is so creepy. Now, Christine, at what point did you guys realize like this podcast is like it's taking off? Like, I'm assuming this is your guys' full-time job now. Is that correct?
It sure is. Yeah,
So,
we didn't think it would happen, but
I mean,
here we are.
that's amazing. So was it a certain episode, or was it attention or someone talking about this podcast that really rocket launched it? I'm curious about the trajectory of the whole thing.
So at the beginning, we both had kind of, classic LA jobs. I was working a temp job and dog walking and, trying to be a writer and the whole thing. While I was at my temp job, don't tell them, but I was basically spending all my time trying to like build up our Twitter following and try to, promote the show. And eventually, I think it was about 6 months in, we got a few DMs on Twitter, and we'd only ever heard from like friends of family or friends of friends. And I started realizing these were strangers, and I would text Em like, do you know Lisa so-and-so? And Em would say, no, do you? And we started realizing strangers were listening to our show, and that was very exciting. And then a few months after that, I think it was about like 8 or 9 months in, maybe a year in, we got an email from a booking agent who was like, I want to book you on live shows. And I thought it was a scam. So I like deleted it for the first, I deleted it. I was like, there's no way, like this guy's trying to scam us. And it turns out he was like, no, let's do a live show. So we did a Hollywood improv show, and that felt, very big and exciting. And I think that's kind of when we were like, wow, we're, people are coming to see us live. And that was pretty cool. So eventually it became, we had to leave our day jobs, so to speak.
That first Hollywood improv job, the show.
It was a job.
Well, it was a job for me. I actually had had debilitating stage fright. So that was like a real, that was our first speed bump in the podcast where I was like, well, I guess I have to do this. We're going to figure it out. But our first Hollywood improv show that we did happened to be right after Zach Galifianakis did a spot, and so we like to say that Zach Galifianakis opened for us.
Yeah, so, he doesn't like that we say that, I'm sure. But we say it.
It's like we say we're Oprah adjacent. A win is a win. We'll
Oprah adjacent is excellent. Yeah.
She has a podcast. We have a podcast. We're Oprah adjacent.
What's the difference?
I like to say I'm Oprah adjacent because I worked on the show Greenleaf, which is one of my favorite shows. And it was Oprah produced it, and she actually starred in part of it. And so I like to think I'm also Oprah adjacent.
Way to show us up, Em. Way to show us up.
Oh, well, look, I don't know if you've watched Greenleaf, but if you haven't, I like to shout it out to everybody. It's like the best show I've ever watched.
It's good. It's good. What do you guys think? Because listening to the two of you, you both have very beautiful personalities. What is it about your podcast do you feel resonates? I mean, 80 million downloads. What do you think it is? Is it the intrigue of the paranormal, or what, like true crime? I mean, we all love true crime.
I think we were at least one of the first shows, if not the first show, to combine supernatural and true crime. And I also think one of the heartwarming reasons that we've done so well is that we really did start out as brand new friends, and we didn't know anything about each other. And so it was our way of getting to know each other and giving us a reason to make plans to see each other every week. But what people have really grown to love is from episode 1, you can see our friendship actually become a friendship. So we were learning things about each other while everybody else was.
Yeah,
so
I think it was episode
journey.
13 where I learned that M had graduated from clown college
Yeah.
as a youth. And so, you know, fun facts like that that I had no clue. Everybody got to learn alongside me. So I feel like it's kind of a bonding with the audience. Like, what the hell is
college, Ghostbuster. I mean, you are quite the character.
I forgot they said that, because when I found out that they went to clown college, I was like, nope. No, I meant to tell you that.
I've lived quite a few lives. So, but yeah, so I think one of the reasons that we've done so well is just because I think at least most shows, people already either know each other or they are coworkers in some way, but we really, from episode 1, didn't know each other, and you got to learn with us. So
amazing. And, you know, I wanted to ask, you know, when people come on this show, we like to see what they are listening to, what is interesting to people that are in this profession of podcasting and really involved in it. Em, is there anything that you could recommend to our audience that is just a great podcast that you enjoy?
Yeah, I have 3, and they're all very different. One, I really like Radio Rental, which is produced by Rainn Wilson and his team. And he also now has a spinoff called Dark Air. I also, one of my friends runs this one, but I really, really love An Acquired Taste. It's a more of a it's kind of like our show, but instead of it being entirely spooky themed, it's just more like a random fun facts. They pick a random topic every week and just kind of deep dive into it. And then I also recently learned during the pandemic, actually, that I was very late diagnosed with ADHD. And so I like to get on my little ADHD platform. And if you are wondering if you have it, or if you know someone, if you love someone who has it, please go listen to Infinite Quest. They are an ADHD podcast that have taught me literally everything about myself. So please go check it out if you'd like to.
Awesome. I like the recommendations. Christine, what about you?
Oh yeah, I'm a podcast addict. I listen to, God, like millions, but the one that Em and I initially bonded over that I listen to as kind of a break from all the spooky stuff is My Dad Wrote a Porno, which is just a classic. I don't know if you guys have listened. Oh, it's so good. It's this guy in the UK, and his dad actually was retired, and he found out his dad wrote like a self-published like erotica from the mind of like a 60-something-year-old white man. And so, you know, they read each week they read a different chapter, he and his friends, and it's just like very heartwarming and also kind of gross, but like really fun to listen to. It's classic, and it's one of those that you can listen to over and over again and like just puts you in a good mood. So that's always my go-to rec.
Hey, listen, you had me at the title, so I'm in.
That's all it takes.
Well, thank you both so much for joining us. Again, congratulations. And if anyone wants to check out their podcast, if you haven't already, if you haven't been one of the 80 million downloads they've got, definitely head on over to the Odyssey app and check out. And That's Why We Drink. And of course, they're on any other social platform that you want to check them out. But great podcast. Enjoy your guys' content. Please keep it up.
Thank you
guys
so much.
This was great.
Thank y'all so much for joining us. Guys, don't go anywhere. We got more. This is Podsauce. Guys, welcome back to Podsauce, your podcast discovery show. I'm Alesha Renee.
And I'm Dax Holt.
I was going to introduce you.
I didn't know. I'm sorry. I will let you introduce me. Go for it.
I was going to say this gentleman who we're about to bring to the stage, who's already on the stage. Dax. You always kill me with these, your odd pod pick of the week, because it just doesn't seem like stuff that I feel like you would actually like listen to. But sometimes you're like, no, I could get into that. So I'm really curious to hear what your odd pod pick of the week is.
So the funny part is with odd pod, it's normally something that like Angie or Jamie will throw out. And so I'm kind of discovering it at the same time as everyone else, just because I kind of find it fun as a recommendation, not only to me, but to everyone else. So this week's Odd Pod is called The Weirdest Thing I Learned This Week. And so this is by the, I guess some of the editors behind popular science. And so what they're
Okay.
doing is they're getting together. The two hosts are Rachel and Claire, and they also bring on some of the other people that work at Popular Science. But they're saying, this is the odd fact that I learned this week that I didn't know, and they kind of bring it to the table and then discuss it. And so some of the past topics have been a skyscraper that can fry an egg. I'm not making this up. This is stuff.
Because it's so hot, it's so high and close to the sun, it's hot.
I don't know. A self-decapitating sea slug. What else do they have? They have a beetle that can waltz through frog intestines unscathed, and a man who thought he could capture sexual energy in a cave. Or cage, not a cave. So they're bringing these all to the table. They're saying these fun facts, and I mean, they work at a fun place, so they're able to really dive in, discuss these things. And if this is the kind of stuff you're interested in, this would be the odd pod pick of the week. So the weirdest thing I've learned this week. So there you go. That's what I got for you this week.
You know what that kind of reminds me of? The trends on IG, like social media. I was today years old when,
Yes.
you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you found out that like that's how I learned the proper way to flip over a grilled cheese. You know what I mean? Like, because you could just hold it with the skillet and put the pan on and flip the whole thing over without like messing up your whole thing, except they go a little more in depth and I guess a little more intellectual, because who really cares about how you flip
Yeah,
over
but
grilled cheese?
that's the stuff that's important. I'm sorry. Peeling a banana from the wrong side is really beneficial, they learned on IG.
Facts. I learned that.
And you know what? Because you learn, like, in the wild, monkeys and stuff, they all peel it from the backside. I'm
No,
like,
they don't. They squish it up. They pinch it up. Yeah, they pinch it.
I
'Cause
saw on IG, they showed a monkey fully peeling it from the bottom side, and they're like, if monkeys are doing it, that's how we should be doing it, because
Was
they
that
do
in
it the correct way.
Oh yeah, from the like, you know how
From
the
bottom,
long end?
not the
yeah, and then
not
you
the
flip
stem.
it over.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, no, they pinch it. And then it comes and
Is that what sound a
You
banana
can't-
makes? Shoo, shoo.
and then it just and it just peels right down so easily. Okay, yeah. See, this is what happens when I'm not in studio. I can't really feel what you're saying to me. You know what I'm saying?
But that's why you learn some interesting things. Why this podcast might be an interesting thing to check out.
Fair. See, this is why I need to stay out of your business of Odd Pod of the Week and just let you do what you do. Guys, you can find all about that podcast and all the podcasts that we talked about this week and every week at podsauce.com. Do not forget to sign up for our newsletter so Dax can hand deliver it to you, because he likes to do that. And we like to keep Dax happy on this show.
Exactly. And don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms. You can find us at the Podsauce, and then you can find myself at Dax Holt. Alesha, where can they find you?
They can find me at I am Alesha Renee. Thank you all so much for joining us. Be good to yourself. This is Podsauce.